We are all a little depraved and debaucherous. Here is the king of podcasts.
Welcome to the program. This is King of Podcasts. The Prevalent Debaucherous is on the air. You can find all the past episodes at ddradio.live. And of course, wherever you find the show, please make sure to rate and review Spotify, Apple Podcasts. And you can also find the show on Amazon Music and Google Podcasts. We're going to talk about Jonah Hill because he got himself in a lot of publicity that he probably never wanted to have. The guy's an accomplished actor, but before we say anything about what has gone on right here, we're going to go ahead and analyze what has gone on. Now, number one, I'm not a fan of seeing where this kind of dirty laundry gets out there in public, but this is what social media is going to do. And this is what is unfortunate to me, but it's frustrating at the same time because we've talked about it. Social media is a detriment of why dating, relationships, and just people feeling like, well, they just need to go ahead and use the audience that they have on social media, just like anything else, to be able to go ahead and say, okay, well, we're going to use the best possible way to go ahead and expose and really get someone thrown down the well, right? You know, we want to really bury somebody. You want to really make somebody look bad. How many times have we seen this happen? I haven't talked about it on this program because they kind of sleaze and celebrity type of stuff I normally don't get to, but this is one where, you know, they're referring to emotional abuse right here with Jonah Hill. And I want to come into this with an open mind. Now, I heard a little bit about this, so that's why I got into it, but I got a whole bunch of stories that we're going to go into together to take what is the actual feeling of all this. Because, you know, unlike the alpha male shows that are out there, I think I'm going to have a different opinion about how people are going to feel about what happened. And so I'm going to take that into effect. But this has happened over the last couple of days. We're going to go into this right now. And we're going to do this first. All right. I'm going to go from Forbes to go and talk about the story. So Jonah Hill's ex-girlfriend, Sarah Brady, she's a surfer, has accused Hill of emotional abuse over the weekend and posted screenshots of her text messages to her Instagram story. So we now have an internet discourse going on about boundaries and whether Jonah Hill misused therapy speak. Well, even with Jonah Hill trying to go ahead and talk like he's a therapist because he's probably gone through quite a bit himself. Listen, an actor like him, to be able to do the work that he's done in roles, he has to have gone through his own level of mental trauma. Let's just keep that in mind. For some actors that are out there, for them to be able to do what they've done. Remember, you're thinking about this guy that has gone through issues of being very overweight, then losing the weight, then gaining some of it back. You can definitely see through him. He's probably gone through his level of drug use and alcohol. So he's been abusing himself. Okay. And then on top of that, Hollywood's just this beast that can really just rip you apart. And so whatever kind of soul that you have just gets destroyed because of the deal you make with the devil. So now Sarah Brady, she sent screenshots that included messages that Jonah Hill said he was demanding Brady abide by his boundaries, which include Brady, who's a surfer, no longer posting pictures in bathing suits or sexual pictures, and no longer surfing with men, having inappropriate friendships with men, or having friendships with men who are in unstable places, or from her wild recent past. All right. So right off the bat, the screenshots we have to talk about first. So I'm going to open those up real quick and just go through what he actually said. Not through so much, but we're going to go through what we have here. So in the setup, Sarah says in the caption for one of the pages, it's a warning to all girls. If your partner's talking like this, make an exit plan. Love y'all. And then he writes it and says, okay, all the posts are removed from my page. Good start. You don't seem to get it, but it's not my place to teach you. I've made my boundaries clear. You refuse to let go of some of them, and you made that clear. I hope it makes you happy. And then Jonah Hill gives a list of his boundaries. And those are, if you need surfing with men, boundaryless, inappropriate friendships with men, to model, to post pictures of yourself in a bathing suit, to post sexual pictures, friendships with women who are in unstable places, and from valid recent past beyond getting a lunch or coffee or something respectful. I am not the right partner for you. And if these things bring you to a place of happiness / support, and if there will be no hard feelings, there are my boundaries from a romantic partnership. My boundaries with you based on these ways these actions have hurt our trust. And then she mentions in another page, being our couples therapist at the time. She had me agree to paddle away from any man that approached me in the water, no matter his age. I was instructed to say, I'm going to go talk to my boyfriend, and then paddled away. Then she says, that makes me want to go stab someone. Wow. Who is this therapist? LOL. What? She was enabling his possessiveness, isolation, and jealousness. Wow. Okay. So off the bat, just on what he said right there, this is what's got to be said. They shouldn't have been together. Not even a question. Jonah Hill would have to understand as well, he's not going to be able to go ahead and get anyone that's really going to follow that, okay? First of all, she's could be in her own celebrity, right? They made their red carpet debut in December 21, and that was during the Don't Look Up premiere of the Netflix movie. And they split sometime in 2022, and then Jonah Hill recently welcomed his first child with girlfriend Olivia Millar. And then many of her Instagram stories have been viewed on her account and in various TikTok videos about the controversy, which has inspired discourse about emotional abuse and weaponization of therapy language. Quote, Jessica Valenti writes, I've seen folks tweet that if Jonah Hill wanted a girlfriend who didn't post bathing suit pictures or have guy friends, he shouldn't have dated a surfer. But here's the thing. Emotionally abusive and controlling men don't want submissive women. They want to take strong women down a peg. Okay. So I'm going to say it like this. I am not here to defend Jonah Hill whatsoever. He is more than enough to go ahead and be able to go ahead and go with anybody he wants. Does he need to be in a relationship? That's up to him. But that's going to be tough to have anyway. In Hollywood, as a celebrity, you're not going to be able to get yourself much into that. And for the most part, there probably are other women that might want to just be with him anyway because they might feel a feeling for him anyway. Because obviously he has the money, he has the clout. There might be somebody out there who would want to be with him. But the thing is, I'm not going to judge or stereotype Sarah Brady because she's a surfer. It doesn't matter. She's a woman. No matter what you want to go and put some kind of tag on her. But the idea here that he's putting on boundaries as if she needs to follow them. She doesn't have to be there at all. She can say fuck all and go. Why didn't she see the red flags before? I think part of the thing with Sarah Brady might be the fact that, well, listen, the guy has power. The guy has money. And when they got together, I don't know who brought them together and how they found each other. But it's one of those things that might have been put together. And you just have to realize in these kind of relationships, he's wrong. In what we see right now, he's wrong. He doesn't have the right mindset when it comes to, talking about boundaries. If you need to have boundaries, then you don't need to be with her. And to have rules like that, the fact of those rules that he has, his boundaries are very narcissistic. They're very controlling, very manipulative. They are an emotionally abusive, controlling man. He is. Okay? He's not necessarily overly masculine. He's just not. He's just not your typical masculine, strong masculine character. He's not. Okay, how old is Jonah Hill? I got to check that because I don't think he's 40 years old yet, right? No, he's not. How old is he? 39 years old. Okay, he's about to be. And remember, I feel bad for the guy because he's gone through a lot of shit. Because he had to have gone through his own level of problems growing up. And trust me, there's a lot going on right now that the word of predatory behavior is starting to come up right now on Jonah Hill. So all his dirty laundry is coming out right now. So if they're going to try to get him buried, they're trying to do it really hard. There's a former child star accusing Jonah Hill of assaulting her when she was 16. And Zoe 101's Alexa Liganis shares her experience with predator Jonah Hill. So like I said, if Jonah Hill's going down, that's what's going on. Let's talk about this. So here's the part where I want to take the part about what was being said about him and his other dirty laundry coming out, because it's all happening. So Zoe 101 actress Alexa Nicholas, she alleged that Jonah Hill assaulted her at a party hosted by Justin Long, who was in Barbarian most recently. And Jonah Hill was 24 years old and she was 16 years old at the time. Now, she didn't mention a year in her post, but the actress' ages when the alleged incident occurred happened sometime in 2008, which means that'll put, right around the times we're talking about. Now, by the way, Sarah Brady has already called the actor a misogynistic narcissist. Well, I wouldn't say necessarily misogynistic. Like, that's just a thought, but no, he's a narcissist. He's absolutely a manipulator, a narcissist. He's a control freak. And, that's the part that he's just really got down pat. Now, she describes how she and a friend who was 16 or 17 attended the party by Long and his then roommate, CSI actor Jonathan Togo. Togo was sleeping, a.k.a. assaulting a minor, a friend of mine that was also 16 or 17, she alleges. Both Nicholas and her friend were drunk because, of course, the predators were feeding us minors a bunch of alcohol. Doesn't surprise me. Nicholas goes on to detail how Hill, who was also in attendance at the party, seemed to have his eyes on me, asked to walk outside with him to his car to grab a cigarette, and so she trusted him. And before adding in, she said if I wanted a cig and had him come with him inside to get it, he didn't want to go all alone. They were all aware I was 16. He didn't hand me the cigarette, which I thought was weird, and then as we walked back to the door, I asked him for it, and he said nothing but slammed me to the door and shoved his tongue down my throat. I was so appalled, I pushed him off of me and ran inside. Okay, well, listen. Jonah Hill now is being targeted. It's too bad. Hey, the problem is he's probably been a tortured soul when he was a young kid. I mean, just to get himself into Hollywood right now, the issues with his weight, the issues of just, being accepted and noticed. Like Hollywood just turned him into this kind of thing. And you know what? You're talking about 2008? Wasn't Superbad already out by then? So he'd already become a notable name. And by that point, it's it. He was just at a point. And by the Justin Long, and I'll tell you this, Justin Long and Jonah Hill know each other because they did a movie. I remember watching the movie. And wasn't it accepted? Yes, 2006. So by that point, that movie would already have happened. And the movie Superbad, that was 2007. So by that point, Jonah Hill had already been an established actor. So he was already famous. He was going to famous parties. And you know what? He was taking advantage of the fact that he had a bit of clout and he thought he could do whatever he wanted at a party like this and just said, he didn't care. It sucks like that. I think I've been around long enough to know that when I hear stories like that, she's putting herself out there to also get castigated by doing this, okay? By her bringing it out to the forefront and describing it, number one, she's probably been holding on to this for a long time and just said, you know what? If he's going to go down there, me too. She will go, time's up, me too. I'm going to start speaking out. And listen, when you have guys like that are basically predators like this, and the fact that, listen, the pattern of manipulation and narcissism that goes from thinking he can do what he wants to a girl like he did, the description of that going all the way to current, I'm sorry, this guy is not without sin. He is culpable. And I feel like that guy is probably might not have been in the right mindset when all this goes on. Who knows if he was on drugs? Who knows if he was on alcohol? But you can see it in him. So you could very much see that guy was just, he knows it too, man. Look, how many times were people probably out there trying to cover for him as well? There's a lot of that going on. And the other part is that Glamour Magazine actually talks about this. And you know what? They're not wrong about this. Marcela Arguello put out, and she's a comedian on Twitter, posting on Twitter, and she mentions this, and actually she's not wrong. So it's a great example of that old saying, give a man some therapy, you heal him for a day. Teach a man therapy words, and you feed his manipulation for a lifetime. Right. Because there is the case that you might have someone that's a manipulator, a gaslighter, that will absolutely take what he gets from therapy and uses that, and the therapist will not even know any better if the person's legit or not. And then using the words, acting like he could be his own therapist, trying to act, maybe he'll act like trying to be an empath when he's not. But the guy is a control freak. He's a narcissist. Textbook. All I can say for Sarah Brady is that, you know what? You got out when you did. You're better off. And, you know, now that this is going on, hey, Olivia Millar, you have a baby daughter with him now. And look at the kind of press that's going on. If you're going to stick with him, you're going to have to go through some real arrows coming across, and you're going to really try to take that guy down, because Jonah Hill's right now in the middle of being canceled big time. The weaponizing of therapy. Let's talk about that. So Tevi Pessoa is a TikTok personality. She mentions this. It's crazy because you're using terminology used in therapy to get someone to stop doing what they love. Those are not boundaries. And Sarah Brady also mentioned for herself, I too struggle with mental health, but I did not use it to control people like it did to me. It's been a year of healing and growth with the help of loved ones and doctors to get back to living my life without guilt, shame, or self-judgment for things as small as serving in a swimsuit rather than more in a conservative wetsuit. And I'm sure there's much more healing from this abuse ahead of me. Wow. It's sad, but like that's the other problem, is that with her as well, Sarah Brady was also, you know, she has her own mental trauma, and who knows where that comes from, if that's just from him. But unfortunately, she has her own issues. Guys, girls, learn from this. This is what you need to realize, that you got to learn what is being done wrong here, because Jonah Hill can identify for a lot of young guys out there. I hate to say that, but you know you do. You know it. You might be a little depraved and debaucherous, but you also have narcissistic, controlling, manipulative tendencies. You might not know that you're doing it, but Jonah Hill's 39 years old. He's well enough knowing what he's doing. He doesn't get excuses. He doesn't get a way out of here. He has to confront what he did. And for the fact that this girl felt it was enough compelling from her after therapy for a year, healing and growth, she says, because you basically, you hurt her image, you hurt her personality, you hurt her heart. You brought her insecurities. You brought her this imprisonment of herself where she felt like she couldn't be herself because you abused her, man. Jonah Hill, you can fuck whoever you want, okay? You want to fuck different girls every night of the week? You can do that. You can have handlers that can handle this kind of thing. But this whole thing going on constantly of celebrities that just don't realize, you know what? You are not made for relationships. So why are you getting into one? Because then what happens is you do this and then you're fucked, because now you get yourself in a relationship with somebody high profile. This kind of thing can happen because social media is a Leviathan, okay? Once somebody decides to put that out there, it's in the ether. You can't get it away. And now one person decides to speak up. Now they're all going to speak up. You're Bill Cosby, Jonah Hill. You are fucking Bill Cosby. Look what you did to yourself. You put this on yourself, buddy. You could have avoided this. Maybe he wanted to be like this person that was very, you know, sanctimonious and he probably was hypocritical about it, because like he probably thinks he's being helpful. Listen, it's like something like his own persona that he has in movies, because Jonah Hill basically plays Jonah Hill most part. You know that. That's how he kind of works. But the thing is, and it's interesting like that, because you know what? You have to be a bit of a madman to be an actor sometimes. And look, he did good jobs in Moneyball and Wolf of Wall Street and Superbad. I give him credit for that. But this guy also is in a point of where he's kind of like in this fraternity group kind of feel where, like, you know, just the people he hangs out with, that he's attached to, can be a point where, you know, when you see him get together with somebody, you know what? He doesn't know what to do with a girl like Sarah Brady, which, by the way, unfortunately, Sarah Brady, I wish that she never fell into a guy like this. But you know what? When you haven't been able to overcome the trauma that you've gone through, and she's probably gone through her own mental health issues, when you haven't been able to go and completely overcome what you've gone through in trauma, then the fact is that these kind of guys are going to still be drawn to you because they can sense, they can smell basically. Literally, they can sense that you are susceptible, that you are weak, and that you can be had. And so guys like Jonah Hill will definitely attach themselves to the Sarah Brady's of the world. And those girls are the ones that I care about, that I want to help out. Listen, I don't get anything out of this. I don't ask for anything out of this. I just use this show as a platform because you know what? I want guys and girls to be able to be good to each other. And you know what? Realize sometimes romances and relationships are just not in the bag for you. Sometimes you just got to go out there and go fucking. You have sex. And that's what you get. And maybe the situationships are not a bad thing. But you know what? At this point of your life, I don't know how old Sarah Brady is. But you know what? When I look at what's going on with her, let's see how she is. Because I didn't even check how old she is. Because for what it looks like, I'm guessing she's in her 20s. I'm guessing late 20s. Let's check real quick. As of 2023, she's 24 years old. So almost half his age. Actually, 25 years old. We see some people that say he's 24, 25, close enough. So the thing is, she's a pro surfer, law student, photographer, and activist. Born in California. So now with her, you know, he's going out with a girl that he thinks would have been much more mature to where it would be for him. But listen, he's with a younger woman. You know, some people, there are a lot of women that would look down on the fact that this guy is going through somebody younger. Like he's not going after a 19, 20-year-old, but he went after somebody that is still relatively young, and she's beautiful and she's successful. And there's probably a lot of great qualities in there. But the problem is that it's one of those things where if you have the friends that will be able to go in and like help you point out the red flags that are out there, and are able to get over what happened to you, whatever that might therapy might be, and to know that, you know, who knows what other relationships she's had before Jonah Hill came into the light, but we know that just the text messages are it's just tip of the iceberg, because there's obviously when they were together. They lived together, I guess, right? So a lot of things happen. And Jonah Hill made some mistakes. Now, when she was asked about sharing the text on Instagram, she said, keeping it to myself was causing more damage to my mental health than sharing it could ever do. Well, it's unfortunate that she had to share it with the world, but she did. But social media is an acceptable behavior now, that you can put everything on social media and put the dirty laundry out there. Now, I'm not saying that the dirty laundry is not warranted. It obviously is. But that's the part I wish that Sarah Brady would have realized could have been kept internal. I mean, the thing is that she's unfortunately going to get the brunt of some wrong people criticizing her because of the whole idea that, well, you know, who is she to go out with him? And of course, there's going to be that set of guys that are going to say, well, yeah, if you're dating with me, you shouldn't be showing off your ass and you shouldn't be showing off yourself in a swimsuit and, you know, talking to other guys or talking to girls that might be emotionally unstable. That's not his business. You know, and also you're not married to her. It's like his boundaries. He tried to make it sound like, okay, it was projection, because he's like, well, you need to respect my boundaries. When the truth is she has hers. And he probably didn't follow those at all. But he should have known better that, you know what? They're going to, like, some of the stuff that he was writing here, because he was with her, you can't tell me that stuff can't go out. It can be followed, man. Listen, you're probably on iPhones right now, and who knows what that stuff is out there that's going to get seen, and people are going to find it, right? Now, she also wrote on, and also put in an Instagram story mentioning how, quote, he kept me on as a close emotional confidant after the breakup was sexting me on July 13, 2022, visiting me at my apartment in my hometown early August 2022, then waited till the week after I moved to Hawaii for law school to send me a text being like, by the way, I'm in a new relationship. That's pretty fucked up. Hey, sexting, visiting his apartment, who knows if that was for sex, right? Saying that she was his close emotional confidant after the breakup. So he still wanted to be able to have his cake and eat it too. He couldn't have moved on to somebody else. The problem is that he just felt the control of, and with the weaknesses she had, he was already manipulating her and she could still be had. And that's what he fed off of, was the power to do that. Now she also writes and says that I asked him to make a list of his needs too. But I think his list ended up being like 5 rules for me, not anything that he needed the freedom to do in his life himself. Like his list of needs was not a list of needs. It was a list of expectations / rules for me. When we ended it, it's because we couldn't agree on that. And then I stayed friends. It's kind of a way where she had to kind of like work along and let things kind of play out. Because if she tried to break it off with him, he wouldn't have reacted well. I think she probably knew that the guy was going to be triggered or snap if she didn't do things the way it was, which probably added more to the emotional trauma that she went through. He kept chalking up our breakup to us being in different places in life, and that's bullshit. That's not the main reason it wasn't working. That's amazing. That's horrible. And there was an exchange from last year. Jonah's asking if Sarah is around for a catch-up. A text dated August 30th, 2022. It reads, what time like for you? What's tomorrow like for you? And then he asks, I don't want you to bail on school. That's important. I know I don't need to, but in the spirit of pure respect to our friendship and appreciation for each other, I did want to be transparent that I did start dating someone recently. I'm sorry if that is painful. It just happened. And I didn't want it to be not as transparent with you as ever as I care about you. And then she wrote, thanks for letting me know. Probably best if we don't talk for a while and you figure out where that's headed. I appreciate and understand that. So she's just going along because of the way he talks, the way he responds to her. Like, honestly, she should give a fuck about what he did. No surprise to him. He thinks he's being like wonderful to her about doing this. He decides to go on with somebody else and quickly have a baby with her, by the way. This guy just moves along wherever he wants. He's not good. And then August 30th, 31st, 2022, he writes something about, not that it's really my business, but out of my own personal chicks before dicks code, if that's headed anywhere other than hookup or fling, I'd appreciate it if you make that woman aware of how you've been flirting with me, sexting me, and leading on me for partner level emotional support. Now that's gaslighting. That's classic right there. So he's just talking like an asshole and then goes off and says this, and he's projecting. He's the one flirting with her, sexting her, leaning on her for partner level emotional support. So she needs to understand the guy is just being bullshit, but she's emotionally attached. She was there with him for a while. And you know what? Unfortunately, this was so bad for her. I feel horrible for going through this. And then he writes, as not only is it not your business, I also only mentioned it to you out of respect of friendship, but I have not been flirting with you or sexting you in any way where it would be inappropriate at this time to start dating anyone. And if anything, I felt for your change and try to be a good supportive friend. She said that, excuse me. So she didn't need to be this cordial with him at all. This guy was being a pure asshole, but she probably knew that. It's unfortunate for her. Listen, she doesn't need to be around that guy. That guy's a leech. He's toxic. Not even toxic. He's poisonous. He's fucking poisoned, that guy. I would have told her, hey, don't go with that guy. Jonah Hill doesn't sound like the kind of guy that sounds like a wonderful guy to date or a relationship. He doesn't sound like that. His past history makes him sound like he's pretty recluse. Should I say anything like, should I not say anything like that about him because I don't know him? No. Because there's enough out there to see where, yeah, there's something about him that doesn't feel right. But then again, being a narcissist, being this manipulative, controlling fuck, that's why he's a good actor. Okay? He has to be fucked in the head to be able to act like he does. Just be obvious about that. If he cannot handle the fact that this girl, who's a beautiful girl, great looking body, she's a surfer, she's a lot of things. Like there's a lot of guys would love to be with her, but unfortunately, she wants to have time to work on herself. And the right person come along, but only when she can be able to go ahead and overcome whatever trauma she's gone through. So I feel for her and I pray for her and I hope that she gets better. And she is able to overcome the bullshit this guy did to her. It's unfortunate, but look at that, man. I feel for her. It's a shame. There's other people that talk about it. New York Post puts a story about that and they make the point of, okay, He comes across as manipulative and insecure, trying to clip her wings to make himself more comfortable. While I felt her pain and frustration on a visceral level, who hasn't among us had our own self-worth dinged by an ex? The decision to give the relationship the WikiLeaks treatment was off-putting. Yeah, that's the only thing I think it was. But she explained it. I can't feel... I get it. I get why she would do it. It's unfortunate, but you know what? Jonah Hill put it on himself, man. It's unfortunate. He doesn't look good at all. And I don't think there's anything he could say that would make him look better. His relationship with his current girlfriend, his baby's mother, I don't know. I don't know. But it's too bad. So like I said, this guy just doesn't get it, man. And he won't. He's going to be like this forever. So Olivia Millar, I feel bad for her. I wonder if everything's going to be okay with her, but hopefully she has a lot of support around her. And that Sarah Brady, you know what? She sounds like she's a really nice girl. And she got caught up with the wrong guy. This guy is just no persona no bueno. Okay? No bueno for this guy. But, I mean, he's still a good actor. But like I said, sometimes you just got to have a certain guy that's like this kind of level of schmuck and asshole and douchebag to be able to do movies like that. Notice the kind of roles he plays. That's why he's so good at it. That's good for movies. That's not good for relationships. So we're going to leave that there with him. You know, I hope he realizes, I think what's coming to him is karma. And it's unfortunate, but you know what? Some guys are going to get this kind of thing. So there you go. What can you do about that? I got one or two more stories just to bring up real quick at the end of this. So let me just go to this right now. Open casting. That's a new story now from Forbes that talks about. That's a new dating trend. We'll talk about this real quick. That we all have a mental checklist of traits we look for in dating a partner. The mental checklist method makes intuitive sense. Doesn't explain why the current dating pool is willing to cast a wider net when it comes to prospective romantic partners. It's now being called open casting, a term derived from the practice of open casting calls in the acting industry. So you, first of all, you would do it because you understand initial attraction doesn't always guarantee long-term capability. And there was a study they talk about in evolution of human behavior. Are we happier with a partner who fits with our preference to a T? And the study found that whether a partner ticked all the boxes or not had very little bearing on how satisfied we felt in the relationship. Rather, relationship satisfaction boiled down to whether our partner was a high-value mate compared to ourselves, or whether our partner was a high-value mate compared to our other options. That's said about that. Next up, I want to just bring up the triangle method flirting technique. It's a method turning to TikTok, and it involves quickly looking at one of the person's eyes, then the mouth, then the other eye, facilitating eye contact, demonstration of interest, and motivating lean in for a kiss. But it seems more gimmick than game changer. Now, the TikTok videos on this hashtag for triangle method have got more than 24 million views. The key is lingering not too long on any of the 3 points. Lingering too long on the person's mouth, that person may get a little self-conscious about what's on their face. There are no clinical trials on the triangle, but perhaps staring straight ahead or maybe staring at random places of the person's face. But there's no effectiveness being said about this. So like that's another thing they're talking about. Don't buy on that bullshit, okay? Just a quick message for Jonah Hill. For the next time you're out there, just got to make sure to make this point. Message out to Jonah Hill. You don't need to be in any relationships at all. You shouldn't have any girlfriends. I wouldn't doubt it if Olivia Millar decides to go and break up with you, and then you're going to have a custody battle for your daughter afterwards. Maybe the daughter will change you, and you will change your ways. I don't know. It can happen, but I don't doubt it. I don't expect it. I just think Jonah Hill, you're going to probably get canceled. So after this is all said and done, you might as well just get used to the fact and just face the reality that you're going to have to go back out there. You want to go date whoever you want, whatever kind of tramp you want out there that will accept you because you are a rich guy, rich Hollywood actor, celebrity, whatever. Not A-lister. Come on. He won't be now, but he'll have money. But he can go wherever he wants. He just shouldn't be in a relationship. He should just accept the fact he's narcissistic He is controlling, he's manipulative, but at the same time, he's depraved and debaucherous.